So this is a presentation on Bernie Sanders, and we'll have his views on political issues after a short introduction. Bernie Sanders was born in Brooklyn, New York, on the 8th of September 1941. After having graduated from college, Bernie moved from New York to Vermont, where he worked as a carpenter and a documentary filmmaker. In 1990, Bernie was elected to be Vermont's congressional representative, and in 2006, Bernie beat the richest man in Vermont for a seat in the U.S. Senate, becoming Senator Bernie Sanders. Regarding his views on immigration, Bernie believes that it is important for the USA to get a fair and humane immigration policy. He says that America is a country of immigrants and that this is its main strength. Some of the points in his plan are to remove the inhumane deportation programs, to regulate the flow of immigrants, and secure the borders of the country. Going on to healthcare, Bernie believes that the challenges facing the American healthcare system need to be addressed immediately. He believes that healthcare should be a human right for all Americans, no matter how much money they have, and overall he prizes the health and wellness of individuals over corporate profits.
Moving on to abortion, Bernie is a pro-choice. He believes that the decision of abortion should be left to the woman and her doctor. He places his attention on prevention and education. Overall, he's very passionate about fighting for women's rights and equality. And fighting terrorism is quite a big thing right now, so Bernie believes that we should, of course, protect our own countries and others. But it must be done responsibly. He says that we must work together to root out terrorist funding and defend religious freedom. Some of the things Sanders will do if he becomes president is make sure that any military action has clear goals, expand America's global influence, move forward towards a policy of diplomacy, and make sure to remember the American values. And to welfare and poverty, Bernie thinks that the inequality between American incomes needs to change. There are too many people who live in poverty and a few individuals who own all the money. As president, Bernie will reduce the large gap between welfare and poverty by demanding that the large and wealthy corporations pay their fair share of taxes, increases the minimum wage, putting about 13 million Americans to work by rebuilding roads, bridges, railways, and airports, making tuition free at public colleges and universities throughout the country, and much more.
Then we have racial justice, and Bernie believes very strongly in an America that has racial justice. He mentions that America is a country where you are more likely to be arrested and experience police brutality if you are of color. He of course thinks that this is outrageous and keeps on fighting for racial equality as well as gender and LGBT equality.
Jonathan, what is your opinions on Bernie Sanders?
I feel like Bernie Sanders is the best of all the candidates, both Democratic and Republican.
So do you think he has a chance of winning this year?
Right now, he's a bit behind. He's been picking up pace in the last couple of primaries. And my own American friends, they say that they have voted for him. So I hope that they will that he will win.
So you would vote for him for this reason?
Yeah, I would. He's just simply of the American candidates. He's just the one that fits what I think most. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Personally like Bernie Sanders' program for the presidency of the United States, and I think that even though it might not be the most popular opinion, I think he has a really good program and that it is doable in the United States. So I do think he has a chance of winning, but it's slim since Hillary has way more help, but I do think that he has a chance of winning. And I would definitely vote for Bernie Sanders since I also like his program and everything.
Thank you.
So first of all, what is your opinion on Bernie Sanders?
Well, my opinion on Bernie Sanders is that he's the most left-winged in the States, but he's still kind of right-winged here in Denmark. So I'd vote for him, definitely, because he thinks about more of the people and not more like Donald Trump. He's thinking about himself. He only wants, he's basically the second Hitler or something like that. Bernie Sanders is he's very diverse, I've heard, and I guess that's my opinion on him. I'm not American though, so.
And what's your opinion on like his chances of winning this year?
Well, for the people, Bernie Sanders would have won, but due to money and presidential fathers, Hillary, I think Hillary's gonna win. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
All right, thank you.
So, looking at Bernie Sanders for president, does he have what it takes? For Bernie to be able to win the presidential election, there are many things that he will need: a solid financial support, a strong organization, and communications with the voters. For Bernie to be able to win the presidential election, it is important that he has a stable economy to pay for his presidential campaign. Through different fundraisers with private donations and financial support from the different donors such as University of California, Apple, and the National Education Association. Bernie has, at this point in the presidential race, raised no less than $139.8 million. This money is spent on advertising, administrations, and staff, and other operational expenses.
For Bernie to be able to become the Democratic representative for president, it is very important that he has a strong organization backing him up. Bernie's campaign organization consists of many different people, including the senior advisor, campaign manager, communications director, and many more. The point of the organization is to have a lot of people working full-time on how to make sure Bernie wins as many votes as possible in each state. Lastly, communications. To win the presidential elections, it is important that Bernie, as well as the other candidates, are good at communicating with the voters. This especially means on social media. Bernie Sanders is on social media the Democratic candidate with the most followers on Instagram, with 927,240 people. Also on Facebook and Twitter, Bernie is able to connect with his voters, and in a time when social media dominates most things, this can prove to be crucial for his campaign. In our opinion, looking at the general requirements of a presidential representative, Bernie could win the election and become the Democratic candidate.